Well, hi folks, welcome to the Old Classic Car channel. Today I am down in decidedly sunny Herefordshire at the Brightwells auction sale. Today it is Tuesday the 17th of June, and starting this Saturday the next classic car auction, also incorporating modern classics. I've had a quick squiz around just to see what's here today, and there are some fantastic cars, including behind me lots and lots of pre-war content over there. Well, back over that away, slightly later classics and the modern classics over the far side, plus a few cars outside as well. So lots to see. So let's crack on and see what is coming up for auction imminently. The auction starts this coming Saturday the 21st and runs through till the following Wednesday. If there's anything in particular that catches your eye, I urge you to go and have a look at the Brightwells auction website, because that's where you'll find all the details and the latest estimates on all the cars featured in this particular video. So without further ado, let's crack on and see what's here today. And we may as well start over in this corner here, and this incredible super little Lotus 23 of, I believe, the early 1960s. Let's have a bit of a closer look at this one. Apparently it's got a fully authenticated history, raced for many years, also in Australia, I believe. There we go, 1962 Lotus Type 23. Yeah, so owned from 62 to 72 by John Roxburgh, 72 to 76 Alan Cruikshank, Jim Shepherd, Peter Welland, later estimate 50 to 60. And what a fantastic little car we have here. So there's the famous Lotus twin cam engine, fed by a very hungry looking pair of Weber carburetors. Incredible car, gearbox hung off the back here. Very neat car, of course, product of Colin Chapman. There is the rear body, the rear clamshell, ready to fit on here. What a stunning car. Like I say, further details, precise information on all the cars that feature in this video you'll find over on the main auction website. I'll include a link to that in the description of this one. This really is just a bit of an overview of the cars coming up in the next auction, which, like I say, runs until the 25th of June, which is next Wednesday. If there's any cars here that really float your boat, I urge you to take advantage of one of the viewing days. There are, I think, a couple of viewing days coming up in the relatively near future, and that'll give you a chance to have a proper look at all the cars that interest you. Right, if we go over here, let's have a quick look at the pre-war cars, of which there are many different cars, small and large. One thing I did notice when I was having a quick shufty at the catalogue yesterday, there are quite a few Austin 7s in here. Many different body styles, all with, I imagine, the original 747cc side valve 4-pot engine under their bonnets. And this lineup is headed by this AUO 586, a particularly racy, sporty looking number, bodied in aluminium. I'm guessing this is a special, but yeah, very neat looking little car, alley bodied, room for two. What's that original supplier's plate there? The East Devon Motor Company, Ottery St Mary Automobile Engineers. That's pretty neat. So I imagine the website will have the full lowdown, all the small print on this particular sporty little number. You've got the Brooklyn screens, very neat. I like this sort of cowling on here just to give you a bit of extra space for your feet, because it is quite cosy down there. Yep, so that's just to give you a bit more room around the accelerator pedal. It's a very neat looking little car, painted rad on this one. Got the little cycle wings as well. So that's a very bonny looking little car indeed, to be honest. And you've got a Club Austin 7 badge as well. The Bristol area region of the A7 Club. Next to that, a slightly later but still chrome rad Austin 7. This one of the early 1930s. Probably about 32, 33, that kind of age. Looks like it's on its original registration as well, so that's good to see. So a little two-seater Tourer, very bonny. Lovely, nice interior as well. All looks very nicely preserved. It's great to see so many pre-war cars here today. As you probably know if you watch the channel regularly, I'm quite a fan of early cars, pre-war cars, vintage in particular. Talking of vintage, we have this lovely Austin 7 Chummy, complete with Pratt's can on the running board. This is a fairly early Chummy, not one of the first, but sort of mid to late 20s, still with the lamps mounted on the scuttle. Later Chummies, they would go to the more usual position down here. And that is lovely. Another sign that you're looking at a fairly early Austin 7. The badge, the winged Austin badge, is held on with a couple of little screws. Nice to see proper slotted screws as well, none of your crossheads here. Whereas on slightly later Austin 7s, possibly this one, that one's screwed on as well. But they did end up being moulded into the radiator surround themselves. Love that little jacket there around the leaf spring. Wilcott Limited, the WEFCO. That's very neat, but yeah, this is a lovely little car actually. This one looks really, really tasty. The Chummy is possibly one of the most popular Austin 7s of all. The estimate on this one I believe is about 10 to 12. So I think it's fair to say it's probably a buyer's market at the moment. Great, great little car. And just a few years ago that would have probably been estimated at about 15, I would have thought. But yeah, lovely, lovely paint as well. Really nicely turned out little car. You can get all the bits for these as well. Super popular, very usable, especially if you want to do little road runs, that kind of thing, road rallies. There's lots and lots of opportunities with the Vintage Sports Car Club and indeed the Austin 7 clubs. Yeah, a lot of fun to be had with those little Austin 7s. And here we have a little box saloon. So two-tone green. This one looks fairly original. VO7853 is the registration number. Let's have a quick look. Sliding opening roof. Carefully open the door. Opens nicely. Shuts nicely. That's always a good test of a car of this age. Yeah. Looks like a nice usable little car, this one. Seating for 4, just about. Nice headlining as well. That's always something worth checking on older cars. But yeah, it's a very bonny little car. Well, that's so yeah, Austin 7s, all sorts of different shapes and sizes. That's really interesting to see. Lots of fun to be had with that one. And going slightly later in time, this is the Austin 7 Ruby. So this was the replacement for the car that's alongside it. A lot more modern for the time, with the painted radiator cowl as opposed to the radiator itself pointing out the front. This was something that Austin did on all its models in the mid-1930s. The running gear under the skin on the Ruby is very similar to the box saloon. The chassis is slightly longer, the wheelbase is a bit longer on the Ruby, but it's still got the same 747cc engine under that bonnet. Probably a little bit more room as well in here. So if you've got big elbows, perhaps a Ruby is the one to go for. This one looks pretty tidy, looks like it's on its correct registration as well. 2 lights on the back, 2 stop tail lights. Originally it would have had just this central lamp here, but in the 1950s it was mandated that all cars had to have at least 2 stop tail lamps, hence the extra lights on the back of that one. The indicators are a modern addition. Probably not a bad thing, because most people aren't looking out for pop-up semaphores. I think I'd probably mount them under the bumper just to make them a little bit more discreet, but that's a nice easy little job to do. Yeah, great to see those. Now here's a car that's nice, the little Singer 9 Le Mans. That is great. Bit of family history with these cars. My grandfather had a Singer 9 Coupe and also a Singer 9 Sports. Very, very similar looking to this car. The estimate on this one I think is about low teens, so it's a good buy for someone, especially if you compare it to the prices for MGs, similar sort of cars. The thing with Singers, you often see them with the twin rear spare wheels on them. MGs tended to have just the one, but yeah, very, very neat little car indeed. Open top, two-seater. This is clutchless change. I've not seen one of those before. So is that like a freewheel sort of device or something like that? Might have to look that up. Yeah, lovely, lovely little car, that one. Yeah, this one dates to 1933, and the estimate is about 14 to 15, which doesn't actually seem bad for what you're getting there. Very active Singer owners clubs are around. So yeah, an interesting alternative to an MG. There's a proud Singer badge there. Super little car. ATW 710. And towering over it somewhat is this spectacular American Nash saloon, a two-door sedan. And if you've been following the channel for a little while, you may have spotted I do quite like pre-war American cars. You get a lot of bang for buck, literally, with these American cars. Parts availability isn't usually too bad for these. You have to go stateside to get the bits, but you can get bits posted over, and there's a huge amount of information and advice out there. So if you're after a vintage saloon, I would think that something like this would actually be a pretty good choice. I'd quite happily run this one as a regular user. This one dates to 1928. It's a 6-cylinder car, 3 litre, and the estimate on this is about 7 to 9, which seems to be an awful lot of car for not crazy money. If you have a look in the classifieds and see what you can get for £7,000, £8,000, that kind of thing, there aren't too many amazingly interesting cars of this era available. And if you've never tried your hand with pre-war car driving, I can highly recommend it. Bit of adapting, of course, and it's right-hand drive as well, so that makes it super usable. Most old American cars are left hookers that have been brought in. This one being right-hand drive makes it particularly usable. Lots of room in there for 4 or 5 people at a push. Lovely steering wheel as well. Quite a comprehensive dash panel, like that a lot. Like I say, 6-cylinder engine. An interesting alternative to a Ford Model A, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's really interesting to actually have a closer look at this. Pretty neat little bumperettes, the little corner bumpers, fuel tank, I imagine it's at the back there, solid wheels, but yeah, nice, I like that. Quite a jolly colour as well, because a lot of pre-war cars tend to be black. Just have a quick look in here. So we've got the sort of wood effect on the door cappings and surrounds. So we've got gear shift on the floor, handbrake alongside it. Looks like the pedals are a pretty conventional layout. Yeah. What an interesting car. If I hadn't spent up lately, I would be very, very tempted by this. Like I say, American cars can be great value for money, and they're just a little bit different to everything else that you tend to see at car events. And this having a 6 in it would probably roll along pretty well. Let's have a quick look under here, see what we can see. Looks like this one's been adapted to later telescopic dampers, which may just improve the ride a bit. Looks like it's all been greased up within recent memory. It's very clean under there actually. Look how clean the spring is, the leaf spring. You've got the steering rod has been, looks like it's been greased up recently. Let's have a quick look under here. Yeah. That's the pitman arm from the steering box coming down there, connecting to the steering rod. I've been doing a lot of research about this and reading about this on our Buick that we've just bought, which is 1931, so slightly later than this. This is genuine vintage, late 1920s. And yeah, well, I do like this actually a lot. Boyce motor meter as well. Next up in this tantalising lineup of pre-war cars, we have a Riley 9 Monaco, a very popular choice in pre-war car circles. These sporting saloons go very well by all accounts. Lots of people recommended that I get one of these when I was talking about what we were going to buy next, and I can well see why. I think the estimate on this one is about 7.5 to 9.5, so similar money to the Nash alongside. This one dates to 1933, and I imagine it's still eligible for VSCC events if you want to get involved in doing sort of vintage sports car club tours and driving tests, that kind of thing. Because even though this is post 30, and generally the VSCC caters for cars up to and including 30, they do have a what they call a post vintage thoroughbred list, and cars such as these Riley 9s and the slightly larger 12s are on that list. So lots of fun to be had with a car like this. Like I say, 1933 Monaco. They did change a lot over the years. The style of them changed almost year on year, I think. If I look back at old photographs, they're all slightly different from each other when I look back at snapshots taken in the pre-war years. But pretty cool. Now, I like the fact that you've got the diamond shape of the Riley badge is echoed all over the place. You've got the shape of the bonnet, which reflects the upper part of the badge. You've got the Riley badges in the lamps. The shapes of the door windows are influenced by the shape of the badges. Rear hinge doors, front and rear. Got like a Rexine covering on the roof and the rear quarters. The rest of it is regular coachwork. But yeah, that looks really nice. Not too big either, that's the beauty of these. Would fit in any garage. But for 7.5 to 9.5, I think that is actually quite a tempting estimate. Let's have a quick peer inside. Door again. We're looking for droopy door or plate in the hinges. This one closes well with no hint of droop. Often you can tell if there is droop because you might see scuffs on the rubbers on the running boards. Not in this case. Look at those original door trims as well, how lovely are they? And again, you've got the shape of the badge echoed in the escutcheon there, and the shape of the handle, even on the door lock there. Everywhere you look, you see nods to Riley and their famous emblem. Lovely wood window surrounds as well. All looks very comfy in here. But I love the interior. This trim, I'm so glad that hasn't been retrimmed. That could tell a story or two, I bet, going back to 1933. What a little belter. Wooden dash. Very well stocked dash, reflecting the fact that these were sporting saloons of the day. What a great little car. I can really see the appeal of these little Rileys. Yeah, I'm blown away by that interior trim. That is just so nicely preserved. Yeah, what a little belter. Let me know in the comments which car or cars really float your boat. Do you fancy something pre-war? Could you see yourself taking on something pre-war? As I've said before, I really am fond of pre-war cars. Every drive is an occasion. There is a slight challenge in driving, especially if you go back to the 1920s. That is like another level of excitement above even like a 1930s car. But either of these two would be very, very welcome in the garage back at OCC HQ. And a little Singer as well, as a nod back to my family's car owning history. I have to say, this Riley really does appeal. Right, anyway, I mustn't get too excited about any one particular car. Let's keep going. We've got a magnificent Rolls-Royce Tourer here, again from the 1920s. Very sort of barrel-shaped side to the coachwork on this one. Big cars, a lot of car for the money here. I'm not quite sure what the estimate is on this one. It's a 1926 car. I think it's about 17 to 19. So some pretty hefty brakes on the front of there. Like I say, this car, it's a 20 horsepower Tourer. Not brake horsepower. I love these old leather gaiters on the springs as well. And indeed, there on the end of the steering rod, Rolls-Royce proudly cast into the front axle there. But what I like about this kind of thing, cars are made properly, this age of car, and they're made to be fixed and worked on. It's all mechanical. You can grease all these joints, attend to things, fix things, improve things. And they're very hands-on cars. That's very handsome looking machine indeed. And next to that, a very large Austin. Most Austins you see tend to be 7s and 10s. I think this is an Austin 20 drop head. What year would this one be? I think this one's 1927. Body is by Mulliner. The estimate on this, 12.5 to 14.5. That's actually a handsome car. Like I say, much larger than most Austins you see. Again, the Austin winged badge screwed on there. Nicely slotted screws and lined up as well. Pretty hefty set of lamps on this one as well. Apologies for any reflections. So it's a two-door with the old carriage type handles, because this car dates to 1927. XL 2299, and the step on the rear corner there suggests that there is a dicky seat tucked away behind that lid there. And yeah, the proper old carriage handles. Look at the wood cappings and the lovely nickel plated door handles as well. Very agreeable buttoned leather upholstery. Could be original, certainly got some age to it. Yeah. Just pop the camera in there, have a quick shufty in there. Very nice. Hood looks in pretty good order. I like hoods with two individual rear windows in them. I think they look just a little bit more interesting. Lots going on in the centre of the steering wheel. I imagine there'll be a hand throttle, advance and retard to the ignition. Just going to have a quick shufty at that. That's a nice little lamp, isn't it, with the jewelled sort of telltale on the top. Yeah, plenty to keep you busy there. Hand throttle, advance and retard, and probably the choke or the mixture as well. Well equipped dashboard, great view out through that screen. You can imagine this on a day like today, just particularly sunny with the roof down. That would be very nice. Bit of a cold start procedure written down here. Mention of the auto vac. So the auto vac is the fuel system. So basically it relies on engine vacuum to draw the fuel up from the tank to the under bonnet area, and then on the bulkhead, either this side or the other, there will be a little reservoir the fuel gathers into, and then it's a vertical gravity feed from there into the carburettor. That's what the auto vac system is, made by a company, the name of which escapes me, in Stockport, I believe. But this looks like a really usable car. Vintage Sports Car Club associate member. Yeah, pretty neat. Like I say, check out the auction website for the full lowdown. And here, wow, another wonderful pre-war Austin. Now, which model is this? I think this is a heavy 12.4 Burnham Saloon. About 1932, so we've still got the chrome rad. At this point in time, that would come just 2 or 3 years later. I must admit I prefer the look of these slightly earlier cars compared to those with the painted radiator cowl in front of the rad. I think these are very handsome looking cars indeed. So this is a heavy 12.4. Still got an old tax disc there from 1932 in the screen. Semaphore pop-up indicators there in their own little housings. So that's neat. It's a big, handsome saloon. I do like saloons, very, very practical cars. The estimate on this beauty is about 8 to 10, I believe. So probably not that much more than you'd pay for maybe a nice little Austin 10 saloon. But you're getting an awful lot of car for this one. Looks like it's had an older paint job, which is still holding up. Won't be running any concours, but what a beautiful usable car, and which will probably come for well under 10, I would have thought. Let's have a quick look in here. The door is, look at that. Just clickety click. Not a hint of drop. Very, very nice. Are these seat covers? It looks like it's got seat covers, but maybe the original seating is underneath there. So that would be quite exciting to discover. But yeah, very comfy and commodious. You've got the blinds for the rear compartment above the windows. Ashtray, remember those? Yeah, really cool in here. Door trims look very original. I'd love to have a look under those covers to see if the original seat covers are still there. I bet they probably are. Yeah, well stocked dash, nice view down the bonnet there. You've got the big chrome lever there for opening the windscreen, so a bit of air conditioning while you drive along. Perfect. Yeah, lovely car. Always have a look at the hinge pillars as well. So you've got wood in here, so there's a lot of wood framing going on. You always have a look at the bottom. Check where the hinges bolt on to make sure the screws aren't working loose. Also have a look at the bottom where the moisture might gather. Oh, look at this. Can you see? I hope you can see that carriage work by the Austin. Wow. The Austin Motor Company Limited. You can just see the beginnings of Birmingham. Yeah. And lovely mouldings again. This is what I keep saying about earlier cars, pre-war cars. The detail, the quality of the fittings is just a joy. So if you appreciate that kind of thing, look again, look at that. Just clickety click. Just lovely. You've got some wind deflectors in the back here as well, so they would clip. You've got footrests too, picnic tables, by gum. And some of the bits and bobs in there. Yeah, the wind deflectors, so they would fit. As you wind the windows down, you'd fit those here, so you could have the window open, deflectors out, so you didn't get too buffeted and it didn't blow your hat off. But yeah, clickety click. What a lovely car. What a lot of car. You know. If I had the money and the space and the time, I would just spend my life buying cars like this. Set up a museum and fill it full of wonderful quality old cars like this great Austin in front of me here. Oakley dokley, and at the end of this row we have this magnificent Vauxhall. This is a Vauxhall 2060 Melton Tourer dating to 1928. This is a well-travelled car. I believe this one spent time in Australia. What a handsome looking car. Restored a few years ago by the look of it. The estimate on this belter is 15 to 20. But a very handsome two-seater roadster. No, I can't. Oh, there is a step. Right, so that suggests there could well be a dicky seat hidden away in the back there, or the mother-in-law seat, depending on your your favourite terminology. Stop. BF4431. Yeah, that is a very snazzy looking motor car indeed. Two-tone paintwork really suits it actually. Lots and lots of space. Just one row of seats here in the front. Like I say, dicky seat at the back. Yeah, It's a very, very agreeable place to be. Vauxhalls back then were real quality cars. They were cut above many of the rival British manufacturers. You know, Vauxhall Motors Limited, Luton in England. Another Boyce motor meter there to monitor your engine temps. So you can sit in the car, drive along, and without averting your gaze, keep an eye on the temperature of the engine by just looking at the motor meter at the end there, attached to the top of the radiator. Now this is something I was thinking of maybe getting for the Buick. Rear view mirror attached to the top of the wheel. That might be quite a useful addition. Yeah, lovely car. So you've got the advance retard there in the centre of the steering wheel. Pretty common by this point in time. Nice dash there as well. Yeah, it's lovely and clean inside. Looks like it's been retrimmed, but not yesterday, so it's got a bit of age to it, which is just mellowing in nicely. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen one of those before, so that is a good looking car, I think. It's not huge, but probably rolls along really, really well indeed. Very distinctive Vauxhall flutes here that start on the top of the radiator itself and then continue along the bonnet top panel. Is this a car you would be very tempted with? I mean, I can see a lot of people being interested in this at 15 to 20, I have to say. This also has little flashing indicators added quite sympathetically, so that's a nice job of that. BF4431, that's an age-related number that would have been issued a few years back. And some pretty hefty brakes under there. All looks nice and clean. You've got the Andre Hartford adjustable shock absorber. Well, it's more of a damper really, but yeah, you've got those. They look fairly recent as well. One over there, and one over there. Yeah. That is one good looking car in my humble opinion. But like I say, let me know in the comments what you think, and lots more information will be on the website. Now, one of the highlights, one of the things that really leapt out at me when I was having a look at the catalogue before was this incredible trio of American cars here, these incredible limousines. An amazing assortment of cars that you very, very rarely see up for sale in this particular country. The car nearest me is a 1948 Packard Super 8 limousine. It's like an unfinished project, this one. Clearly someone spent a few bob on this one. I think the paint's been done and whatever bodywork was required beforehand. Bits for the Packard are over here. What an amazing looking car that is. If you fancy a bit of a project and you've got a long garage, how about something like this? A Super 8, so that'll have an 8-cylinder engine in it, and, with like lots of cylinders here at OCC HQ, so a bit of a closer look. Lots and lots of bits and bobs in there, so clearly someone started the resto but wasn't able to complete it. Looks like a bit of fun, that one. So yeah, so what's this? 1948. There's no reserve on this beauty, so whatever it gets bid to, plus a bit of commission, this could be yours. This could be sat in your garage, ready for a bit of TLC. Lots and lots of loose parts over here. I'm not sure if this is all Packard or comes with some of the others. But the beauty of American stuff is that there are so many people, especially in the States of course, where have experience of working with these cars, piecing them together, fixing them, repairing them, doing all the common jobs that they need doing. So there's always loads of advice around. Once you get in the right places, get on the right Facebook groups, join the American Automobile Club, that kind of thing, there's loads of advice. So this is definitely doable. Quite the project. Definitely doable. And no reserve. So how cool is that? But talking cool, look at this proper Bond baddie type car. This is a 1953 Cadillac Fleetwood limo And the estimates of this beauty is just £4,000 to £6,000. What an incredible car. That really is quite something. Obviously needs a bit of TLC, as they always do. I like these little markers on the front of the fenders. That's quite cool, but yeah, that's a limousine version. Quite a machine as well. It's got a December 71 tax disc in the window. Private Cadillac. I wonder if that's the last time it was on the road. Easy eye glass. Safety plate. Wow, what a machine. I'm going to have a look. How much room there is in the back there. I'm going to have a look in here. Hopefully it's open. Yep. Carefully open the door. Wow. Don't often get a chance to look at one of these. Look at the door trims. Partitions. Clock. Of course, Caddy was very much an upmarket premium maker of cars back then. And look how much space there is. By gum. You could have quite the party in here. Headlining is actually nice and original. What a machine. Shuts very nicely. I'll come round the back here just to check out the rear aspect of this behemoth. What an amazing car. I've got to have a look in the driver's area. Very original trims as well. Original seats. There's a bit of servicing information there on the windscreen pillar. So quite wraparound screens on this era of Caddy. Wow. The Cadillac Fleetwood radio built in there. Just lean across there. Some hubcaps down there. What a machine this is. That would be fun to smoke around in, that would. What an amazing car that is. Look at these, almost like torpedoes. Very space age indeed. But being a limo, wow, that really does have some presence. Let's have a quick look in here. So we've got some Caddy books as well. Mind your knees. There's only downside of wraparound screens. You could club your knee on there, but just keep your eyes open. What an amazing machine. I wonder what the history of this is. I might have to have a look at the website later just to have a bit of a read about this incredibly rare car. Left-hand drive. Big hefty doors. Big hefty hinges. Door pillars look really good. What a thing. Yeah, incredible. Possibly my favourite of these three is the one on the end here next to the E-Type. This is a 1950 Chrysler Windsor limousine, and that is a super original looking car. This one I think has had maybe a bit of work done on it, although if it has the paint, it's fairly old. It will clean up nicely on the Caddy, but this one is definitely as found. What an amazing looking machine. A Chrysler Windsor 1950 limousine. RZ1837. Is that Irish registration then? What an amazing thing. Where has that been tucked away all these years? As found, not touched by the look of it. Still with the Chrysler full width wheel caps. Amazing car. Split windscreen as well, so that always gives you a nice view out. I do like a split windscreen, I must admit. Slightly older than the Caddy. Look at me, just look at the detail of these, even the handles. And I'll keep going on about details and the thought that goes in, or that went into some of the details, like the lamps, the way the curve of the lamp follows the curve of the shape of the back wing. You know, great. So let's have a quick look inside. That's where we really want to have a look. Look at that. It's got a little servicing sticker there on the back of the door. I bet if you gently dusted that down you could probably find a date on there, but I won't go attempting that. Again, very, very original looking. Look how substantial everything appears. Got the vehicle number there, that's handy. Hefty sills. Guessing there's a partition hidden in there. This one's been sat around a while. A few cobwebs for free. What an amazing machine. Turn indicator. So you've got the ammeter, the fuel gauge, oil pressure, engine temps. Speedo is showing 70,000 miles. I bet that's original. We go around here. Built-in radio set with push-button selection. Yeah, even the headlining's nice. So on the face of it, the interior just wants a good clean, bit of an airing. But I think you get away without having to do an expensive retrim. Look at those beautiful cappings. What an amazing thing to fettle up and get going again. You could really do an oily rag job on this. Just clean it up, get rid of the readiness of the surface rust. But I bet, I mean, proper metal on these cars as well, none of your sort of tinny metal that came along in the 60s and the 70s. These are made from serious stuff. How agreeable does this look in here? Assuming that maybe winds down the rear windows, but I won't be trying that. Yeah, untouched, nothing messed with. Just as you like to find things. What an incredible bit of kit. Just shut that properly. So which of these three would be your favourite then? Like I say, this one dates to 1950. The estimate on this, well, it's the same as the Cadillac. Both of these are estimated at £4,000 to £6,000. Yeah, if you've got a bit of free time and you want something to fettle up and have a bit of fun with, you could do a lot worse than one of these. But of the three, this is the one that probably appeals to me most. I just like original paint. This would clean up something, you could get that looking better without having to repaint it. Just a good clean, bit of boiled linseed oil, something like that. Get rid of the readiness on the surface, rusty bits. Don't worry about the chrome, just clean it up as best as you can and have a bit of fun. What an amazing trio, and despite appearances they didn't all come from the same place. Yeah, what a treat to see those three together in one place, at least for now. Next to the mighty Chrysler is this Jaguar E-Type project. This one hides a secret under its bonnet. There we have a Chevy engine. It's a Series 2 E-Type, so it would have had the straight 6XK engine. But as was fairly common in the States, back when these cars were getting on a bit, people would often drop a trusty and known Chevy V8 under the bonnet. It actually fits in pretty well, to be honest, but I'm guessing anyone who takes on the restoration of this roadster will probably put it back to original spec. Fair bit to do, but it's an E-Type roadster and would be lovely once all done and dusted. Yeah, the big old Chevy, you could probably sell that and someone would buy it to put in their pickup truck. Right, now where are we going to go next? Well, let's have a look at this then. Triumph Vitesse Mark II convertible. So 2 litre straight six in this one. Being a Mark II, it's got the Rotoflex rear suspension, which went a long way in taming the slightly wayward handling characteristics of the Triumph Herald and indeed the earlier Vitesses and Spitfires, etc. So yeah, slightly better rear end, and it did really make quite the difference having the Rotoflex rear suspension design on the back of these. I had a much modified Spitfire once with a 2.5 in it, and that had the Rotoflex back end, and it handled way better, way more predictably than the earlier swing axle Spitfire that I ran some years before. This one's got overdrive, it's on a J, so about 1970, 71, that kind of age. A nice looking car. Seats in the back, so quite practical too. Separate chassis. So what would you be checking on these? Well, you'd be checking the chassis and the outriggers that come out from the centre chassis. The main two fore and aft chassis members run down the centre, and then you've got outriggers coming out. These are just sort of decorative, these sills down here. They don't really do much, I think they're just screwed on. But behind them you've got the outriggers, so that's where you check. And also under the boot floor, the chassis is similar to that on the Spitfire, but unlike the Spitfire, the Herald and the Vitesse have these outriggers that I was talking about, and they also have outriggers sticking out under the boot floor as well. So you always have a good close look at those. Right, a bit more Americana down here, Mustang Fastback with Michigan on the plate, Great Lakes, Michigan. That's a pretty cool looking car indeed. So obviously left-hand drive as you'd expect. Yeah. Pretty wild looking car, decent set of wheels on it as well. In front of that, Pontiac Trans Am, proper 70s Pontiac. Pretty wild looking car with the removable roof panels as well. Also, it's a left hooker. All looks pretty clean and tidy in there actually. The small seats in the back. Yeah, big American coupe. The Cooper Cobra tyres there, pretty groovy. OBD 292, that's a private registration plate even. Yeah. It's quite an amazing looking car. You don't stumble across them all that often at the shows we get to. Big V8 engine. We're back to Jaguar E-Types here. This 4.2 litre Series 2 fixed head coupe. Isn't that? So I think that's a 2+2, isn't it? It's a 2+2 with the bigger screen, yeah, and the seats in the back. It's not technically a fixed head coupe. This is a 2+2. Interestingly, it would have originally had a trim along here. That was something that was a feature of the 2+2, but not the regular fixed head coupe. And that's what sort of confused me for a moment there, because I didn't see the trim, so assumed we were looking at a fixed head, but we are actually looking at the more practical, to be honest, 2+2. Right-hand drive. Yes, you've got little seats in the back, so even though they're a bit small for actual people, it's quite handy as somewhere to chuck your sandwiches when you're off to a show. Manual overdrive gearbox in this one. See, right-hand drive looks very clean in there. Lots of black vinyl leather seat covers, as you'd expect on a car of this era. Yeah. Handsome machine. And now we do have a fixed head coupe and also a Series 2, so we can actually do a little comparison here. So this is the 2+2, a slightly taller screen, but note the length of the doors, longer wheelbase on these, and look how long the door is, and indeed the window frame, the side window frames. And then we'll zip along here and have a look at a fixed head coupe, much shorter doors, slightly lower roof line, slightly shorter wheelbase. Still with the straight six in it, 4.2 litre by the time of the Series 2. 4.2 made its debut in the Series 1.5 E-Type, I think. Yeah, interesting pair of E-Types there. One probably arguably slightly more practical than the other, but at least you've got the choice here. Both with Jaguar's famous straight six in, a fixed head coupe there, and the 2+2 behind it just here. Now, I had actually meant to do these first, but I was so blown away by this incredible little Lotus over here, I clean forgot. Right, over on the back row, an XK120 Jaguar Roadster. And this is one beautifully turned out car. Stunning metallic green, very reminiscent of the works racing Aston Martins of the 1950s. Wowzers. That is one stunning car. Lap belts in here, proper Jaguar lap belts too, quite cosy. All beautifully retrimmed and tidied up dashboard. Amazing looking machine. These came out in 1948. This one's probably a couple of years later than that. But yeah, lovely looking car. This would form the basis of the 140 that came later, and indeed the 150 after that. But this, many people think that the XK120 is the purest of line, and it's hard really to disagree with that when you see such a beautiful car in front of you here. Looks to be in wonderful restored condition. 3.4 litre XK engine was standard fitment in these, and these would go on to be the basis of the Jaguar C-Type, the racing car, sports racer, the XK120C. Shared a lot of the running gear of this, the road car, albeit tuned up a bit, but the cars get much better looking than this. Probably not. But if you prefer your cars more Germanic, then how about this really super stylish Mercedes-Benz 220 SE Coupe, the two-door coupe. Looks like a proper barn find spec car. Churchdown service station, Gloucestershire. Let's look at that's neat. Also NSU dealer, so that's the original, I assume that's the original supplying dealer sticker. And this one looks like it's just been parked and left. MAB2 was its original registration. Whether that's still current or not, have a look on the Brightwells website. Let's have a quick wander around the exterior and then I'll have a look inside. Incredible build quality on these cars, and very stylish, being the two-door. Of course you could get the regular four-door saloons, the sedans, which are the ones that you come across most often. This is the SE, so this, I think by this point in time, will have mechanical fuel injection. I could be wrong on that. Let me know in the comments if I am awry on that. I know by some point in time when you started seeing SE as the model name, that meant fuel injection, whereas the regular S was still on carbs. Let's just open that carefully. I like how the back of the glass, the door glass, isn't framed, but the top of it is. Oh, super original. Look at that, the quality. These were a cut above even the Mercedes-Benz saloons. Look at that beautiful plating on the door shut there. None of that was necessary, but Mercedes did it anyway. I love the reflection of the E-Type in it, that's pretty neat. Yeah, all this original trim just wants dusting down, and a bit of TLC. Lots of plated fittings everywhere you look. Look at this magnificent dash. Let's just have a lean in here and soak in this beautiful quality. I mean, you're not going to find better quality interior fittings on any car of this age, I would argue. The old Blaupunkt wireless there, wood and leather dash. Look how cool that is. What an amazing car. Like I say, these were quite a lot more opulent than even the saloons, and they weren't exactly modestly equipped, but this is lovely. Seating in the rear, nice wide armrest, so you can wind down the rear side windows for the full pillarless coupe effect. But this would be a wonderful car to recommission, and that shuts just beautifully, just as well as it did when this was built. Not sure what year this is off the top of my head, but we'll go with mid to late 60s, that sort of era. but with build quality that you just didn't tend to come across all that often by that point in time, other than with cars with the three-pointed star at the end of the bonnet. What that would be, I'd love to wash that. I would just love to spend the day cleaning that exterior, revealing the original paint. Look at that, it's got an August 72 tax disc in the window. I wonder if that's the last time it was out. Let's just have a quick look at the mileage. But yeah, it would be such a treat to just gently clean this and sympathetically treat it to a bit of TLC. We've got a sticker there for the oil change. 15th of October 1970, so the mileage then was 18,812. Oh, that's the next oil change, sorry. Right, next oil change due, 18,812 miles, and it is showing 17,818 or 817, so still 1,000 miles away from its next oil change. What an incredible car, beautiful, look at this. This, I'm not going to try it, but this would have been the winder for the quarter lights. Just wonderful, wonderful quality car. And again, those plated door shuts. It's just the sort of details that I really love. What a belter. If you end up buying this car, or indeed any of the cars featured in this auction preview video, please let me know how you get on, because it's always interesting to read your thoughts on the cars that went through the sale, especially if you have bought one of them. Like I say, this is just a bit of a walk around video. Don't take my word for it. If there's anything you like here, please come have a look on one of the viewing days, make your own mind up before you bid. Okay, next up, another Jaguar E-Type, this time a Series 1. And what a beauty it is, Series 1 fixed head coupe. Looks to be in very tasty condition indeed. Manual overdrive. Proper, let's just poke the camera in there. So we've got the old Motorola radio in the middle there. The original flick switches. They will be replaced by rocker switches a little bit later on in production. I think with the 1.5 and then the Series 2s. By that point in time they'd gone to the rocker switches, but the Series 1s have the flick switches in the middle over there, which do look good to me. Yeah, beautiful looking car, badged just as Jaguar at this point in time, but lovely, sleek, very sleek looking car. Probably one of the best looking of all the factory E-Types. I much prefer the fixed heads to the roadsters myself. They're just something about the shape of that body really ticks so many boxes. What a beautiful car. So Series 1 E-Type here, and that lovely XK120 just the other side of the Merc over here. Which would be your favourite though? Next to the Jaguar E-Type is this. Now this is quite rare. This is a Triumph TR2. You see quite a few. TR3A is the later evolution of this car, but this is the daddy of the TR range really, the TR2 of the 1950s. The TR3A had a much wider grille, incorporating the lights over there, and it also had exterior door handles, but no such luxuries with the TR2. This in some ways was Sir John Black. He was the boss of Standard Triumph. This was kind of his response to Jaguar and the XK. He and William Lyons of Jaguar were friends for many years. They had a bit of a fallout, and Sir John Black decided to come up with a rival for the XK, albeit slightly more affordably priced, I imagine. And this was the result, the Triumph TR2, very popular here in the UK, and indeed lots and lots of these were exported mainly to North America. I won't be surprised if most of them ended up in North America, and probably quite a few of them have come back again. This one is in lovely condition. Looks like it's been retrimmed at some point, but not yesterday. So it's sort of mellowing in very nicely, but it's a beautifully turned out car. This one on chrome wires. MFF 709 is the registration number. Someone told me off recently for saying 709. Right, and next to the Triumph TR2, the magnificent Bentley S3. Guessing early 1960s, the date for this one. Pretty wild looking car. Beautifully turned out, a friend of W.O. Bentley Memorial Foundation. Let's have a look inside. Wow, beautiful heavy doors. That's always a sign that you're looking at a decent car, and also with huge sill steps as well to clamber over. That is one very, very nice place to be. You could be sat in the worst traffic jam ever, but if you were sat in here smelling this wonderful leather, which I'm smelling right now, looking at this wonderful dash and down that majestic long bonnet, it wouldn't really worry you too much. What a beauty. Magnificent cars they used to churn out there. Real classy. Still quite understated, you know, but oozing class from every corner. Beautiful looking car. LNE 828 is the registration number of this S3. Very, very swish. And again, all of the way the wing line carries on along the top of the light and down there. The reflector S3, there we go. What a bit of kit that is. So much to choose from here today at the Brightwells Classic Car Auction for June 2025. And if you fancy things a little bit more air-cooled, then maybe this VW, the Type 2 camper, is more your cup of tea. This one from the late 1970s on the T registration. Super clean, looks like it's been repainted, restored. Presented here very, very tidily indeed. All the mod cons for a camping weekend away in there. HEV 948T is the registration number. The Electrolux refrigerator. Let's have a quick look in here. Steps all look pretty good. This is where you want to be looking. If you just got a dull sound, you might think there's a bit of bog hiding in there, but no. Pretty simple interior. Lovely colour scheme. I love how the seats match the exterior colours as well, so that's a very cheerful, very happy vehicle. I think you'd have a bit of fun with that. Even just looking at it makes you smile, and there's a lot to be said for that. Okie dokie, well, next row, number of slightly later classics here compared to the row over there with the pre-war gems, and this row is headed up by this magnificent Austin-Healey 3000, I think it's a Mark 3, yeah, Mark 3, stunning car, big 3-litre straight six on that bonnet, and these sound glorious. Two-tone paint job on this one. I think it's probably not a factory colour, but it'd be fairly easy to change that back to a scheme if you were that bothered. I'm not sure I'd bother, but lovely interior as well. These look, I love the original and this sort of gold beading around here. A couple of sort of token seats in the back. Looks very well, I like that radio, the British, just sneak the camera in there. The British Motor Corporation wireless. That's a nice little aftermarket accessory. Dennis Welch. I think the engine in this one has been breathed up on a bit. I think it's got a fancy cylinder head on it and maybe other tweaks as well. I did read something about that in the description last night on the internet. Yeah, great looking car. Sound fantastic. And on a day like this, which it's just glorious outside, about 20 degrees at the moment. It's pretty warm in here as well. This would be a fine, fine car. There's a gentleman that lives local to us. He's got a few interesting cars, but probably the one we see him out in most of all is his Austin-Healey 3000, and I've never seen it with the roof up. And with a car that looks this good and sounds this good, why would you ever want to put the roof up? Definitely a lovely car. Some extra badges on the front there as well. Going back slightly earlier in time is this. The original Sunbeam Alpine, the Mk1 Sunbeam Talbot Alpine. I think the estimate on this one is about 25. Pretty scarce car now, pretty thin on the ground, so you're not going to find one of these everywhere, that is for sure. This one in beautiful condition. I love the louvered bonnet on these. So quite a sporting car. So despite being an early 50s car, and you might think, oh, a bit of a plodder, these actually went pretty well by all accounts. These, and indeed the Sunbeam Talbot 90 as well. They were good cars, popular in rallying on the Monte Carlo. And I've seen a few of these cars with a lovely AC rev counter there, so maybe that was a standard fitting on the Sunbeam Alpines of this era. If you know your Roots Group cars, please let me know. What a lovely dash interior and steering wheel. The interior, the seats and the door trims actually look very, very original. So while the car probably has had paint at some point in its life, as you'd expect, after 70 odd years after all, a lot of the soft furnishings do look very, very original. And they've got a lovely sort of look to them. So that's the best of both worlds. Restore what you have to restore, but don't restore what you don't need to restore. Great looking cars, I think these are. I remember years and years ago when I was a little nipper, we used to holiday in South Wales. And there was an abandoned garage that we often used to go past on the way to Cardigan. And there was one of these dumped down the side of it. But back then I was too young to do anything about it, but now I'll be getting out and seeing if I could buy it. These are lovely, lovely cars. Like I say, 25 to 30 is the estimate on this one. What a beautiful looking car that is. Really, really stylish. A few extra badges on the front. The Sunbeam Talbot Alpine Register, 48 to 57. The Sunbeam Talbot Owners Club. And the Sunbeam Talbot Alpine Register section. Yeah, very nice. Supreme Sunbeam Talbot. Beautiful car. That would be an absolute delight to drive that on a lovely sunny day. Really, really nice. And rare too. Okay, and next to that, also offering a bit of open top fun in this lineup of sporting cars is the Triumph Stag. More of a GT than a sports car, but lovely waffly 3-litre V8 engine. This one's got the auto box, so Waftomatic is the spec for this one with the hardtop. Now that's nice because, and I know my youthful assistant agrees on this one, we both prefer the look of the Stag with the hardtop in place. Yes, open top motoring of course is great, especially when you've got a V8 to listen to, but in terms of appearance, I think Stags look best when they have their factory steel hardtop in place. And that's a very clean, tidy looking example as well. If it was mine, I'd probably put some nice reflective metal plates on there. They don't cost very much, and they would just look really, really in keeping. The correct white on the front, white background on the front, yellow background at the rear, metal reflective plates with the separate letters, and they would look just great. Yeah, that looks like a very nice choice for someone, as is this Fiat, little Fiat 124 Spider. Lovely looking car from the very early 1970s. This one on chrome bumpers. Quite a few of these have been brought in from the States. This one's right-hand drive, so maybe it's an original UK market car, or possibly brought in from somewhere that also has right-hand drive, but whatever. Yeah, the 124 Sport. Nice old number plate on the back there. I think it's a Hills plate. Yeah, Hills at the bottom there. So that's good to see. Looks very, very original actually. And it's got a hardtop. I've not seen one like that before. I don't know if that's a Fiat hardtop or an aftermarket hardtop. I'm guessing the auction description will probably say sort of manual floor shift. The proper, you can just see the proper Fiat belts over there. Yeah, very stylish little cars. An interesting alternative to, say, an MGB or a TR4 perhaps. And being right-hand drive, unlike lots of the 124s that we see at shows, that actually makes it quite a usable car. Great colour as well. So yeah, nice bit of kit. What do you reckon? MGB or one of these. I like MGB roadsters, of course. This has just got that little bit different about it. Even the interior light works. There's the Fiat belt. But, yeah, if I was looking for a little two-seater, something like this, a little two-seat sports of sort of late 60s, early 70s design and build, then on the face of it you could probably do a lot worse and find out a bit more about this one, because it's actually a lovely car, and I like the fact it's not on mini light. It's got the original steel wheels. So yeah, very, very nice. Unusual choice, definitely one worth thinking about. Alongside the Fiat is an MGB roadster. This one looks like it's had a few mods, maybe used in a bit of light competition. It's got the towing thing under there. Battery cut off up on the scuttle. Factory hardtop. Interestingly, that the factory hardtops for MGBs were all fiberglass. They never did a steel hardtop for the MGB roadsters, even though Spitfires did have steel roofs. The MGBs, for some reason, they always had fiberglass. Maybe they were a bit lighter to lift on and off. Maybe that's the reason. This one looks like a 64 on a B with the work style roof vent in the middle of the hardtop. That was an original fitting on the A35s, A30 vans, and also the minivans. But the works cars in the 60s, the Bs and the big Healeys, they did have those roof vents added for a bit of extra ventilation. It'd be interesting to know the spec of the engine and running gear in this one. Mini light wheels, very similar to those on Dad's MGB GT. So it looks like it could be a bit of fun as well. And over here, we are back to another slice of Roots Group, a very handsome Sunbeam Rapier. So this was a sporty two-door coupe with basically Hillman Minx running gear, but pepped up a bit. And these are good looking cars, I think. Sunbeam Rapier. Yeah. So 2 doors, pillarless coupe, so you can wind down obviously the driver's window and indeed these rear side windows as well. Heavily wraparound screen as well. So you can just imagine with all the windows wound down, that would look pretty sleek. Am I right in thinking Raymond Loewy was involved in the design of these cars? Could be. It's got quite a sporty fuel filler cap as well, with those quick release caps. Great looking car, I think. Just imagine doing the Monte Carlo retrospective rally in this. That would be a lot of fun. I think there's 1725cc, probably overdrive gearbox as well. Looks really original trim. So original, very usable. Back seat doesn't look like it's seeing much action. Nice headlining as well. Original carpets, a bit faded, but original. That's the thing. These things are only original once. And again, that opens and that shuts very nicely. Yeah, original floor mat, original carpets, dash. Yeah. Roots Group certainly knew how to make a good looking interior. Yeah, I do like that. Very neat car, very neat little car. Slice of the late 1950s there with the Sunbeam Rapier. And alongside that we've got another MGB roadster. This on R-plate with the rubber bumpers, road style wheels. Originally that would have been black, not red, but you could always touch that in quite easily of a Sunday afternoon if you wanted. Looks like the original roof material, still usable. Good cars. We had one of these until a couple of years ago. There's a bit of a project that we had. One thing that impressed me, even though this is from sort of the BL era, I was always impressed at how well and how solid the doors were on these. These shut with a really nice clunk. There's the interior. And the beauty of these as well, you know, if you wanted to tickle up the interior a little bit, you can buy everything for these. You know, so maybe you'd want to get some new Dowell cards if those speakers weren't to your taste. You can buy it all. That's what makes owning MGBs certainly quite easy. Yeah, nice solid door shut with MGBs. So that's always something. So they're good solid cars. They go quite well. Like I say, we had Grandad's MGB GT for a little while. Harley was practicing his driving skills on that recently. I was very impressed with how that went. Right, okay, and I need to speed up a bit. Carman gear here, so rear-engined, air-cooled Carman gear convertible. Carman, the German coach builder responsible for the proper factory-offered Beetle convertibles or cabriolets. There we go, Carman gear badging there. Great looking car. Mrs. OCC is a big fan of these. Porsche wheels on this one, complete with luggage rack on the back and right hand drive. Quite a few of the ones we see are left hookers because they've been brought in from the States, but this one's got the steering wheel on the correct side for our roads. Very clean and tidy in there. And I love how all the joins are presumably leaded over, so you've got no ugly sort of seams anywhere. It just all flows around. Yeah, nice looking little car. I know Mrs. OCC would want that one. We've got a Morgan here, so this is on a P registration. Of course, Morgan's built for many, many years. Didn't change a great deal. I know one or two viewers are especially keen about Morgans here on the Old Classic Car channel, so this one's for you. Very tidy example, British racing green. Okay, next up, Toyota Celica, one of the early ones, the ST from the 1970s. Pretty wild colour as well, nice set of wheels on it as well. I remember a neighbour of ours bought one of these brand new back in the 1970s. His was silver, and I remember being very, very impressed as a young, impressionable schoolboy when this turned up. Nice to see the proper all metal plates. That's the kind of plates that I was talking about before. Manual shifter, looks pretty original. You got these high back sort of bucket type seats. Very, very sporty, well equipped, all the gauges. Pretty groovy. You got these vents in the bonnet as well. Neat looking car, I think. Two-door coupe, sporty little number from the early to mid 1970s. And that looks to be pretty good. These things could rust for England, or indeed for Japan, but this one looks to be in very, very tidy order indeed. Celica badge there on the rear flank. Next to that, Jaguar XJS. It is a V12 convertible on a G registration. Stunning looking car. I think XJSs are wearing and aging very well. For so many years they were a little bit overlooked, but nowadays I think they have their own loyal following. That one looks to be in very, very tasty condition. 5.3 V12 in that one. Right, let's amble over here. What have we got? Right, Toyota Land Cruiser. Guessing early 70s. Really chunky looking fellas. I like these. There's an interesting alternative. There's actually two of them here. There's an interesting alternative to a Land Rover. I think there's a lot to be said for these. I think they're great looking things. Another one here. This one, the paint looks a little bit older. Maybe it's the original paint even, possibly. It's certainly been on there a while. Still with the little steps. Same on this one as well. This one's been repainted. Very interesting paint. You don't see all that often now. You see two here together. Look at this, incredible. What's this? Is this a jack of some description? Yeah. Let's have a quick peer inside. Gear shifting instructions there. A few bits and bobs on the floor. Looks in really lovely condition. Side facing seats in the back. Fortunately those in the front point the correct way. Yeah, very nice. All looks proper and correct. Really characterful old things, these Land Cruisers. There you go, the Toyota Land Cruiser. I do like that. And that. Right, and we have a whole gaggle of Land Rovers of different ages along here. Just have a bit of a look here. This one a fair bit later than the others. This, what do we have here? Is it a 2 or a 2A? Let's just have a look. It hasn't got the little front panel. but we'll go with 2A because it's on a C-Reg 1965, so we'll go with Land Rover 2A. This one looks very original paint. If it has been repainted, it was certainly quite a long time ago, and it's got that lovely sort of mellowed in look, which I think really suits old Land Rovers. Super shiny Land Rovers, I'm not quite sure about, but ones that show their age a little bit, yeah, that gets a thumbs up from me. Mainly aluminium body. Chassis, of course, is steel. You always have a good prod at those, and indeed the bulkhead is steel as well. So you always want to have a good look at those around that area. Like MGBs, you can buy pretty much anything for these, I think. I've never run an Land Rover, but I've read about them many times. It's just like a big Meccano set, really. You can buy anything you need. You can have a Minter, you can have a working example. Yeah, that's got a great look to it, I think. And we have a Series 1 over here, PUO 967, the registration. So at first glance, very similar to the 2A alongside, but of course you've got the slightly different grille. In the early ones of these, the headlights are actually hidden behind the grille. Series 1 first came out in 1948. Doors are flat on the Series 1 compared to the Series 2 and the 2A. Still mainly aluminium bodied with steel bulkhead. And this where the doors hinge on. This is steel, this bit down here, but that's aluminium. That's aluminium. Unlike the Austin Gypsy, which was BMC's rival for the Land Rover, but that was all steel bodied, and they did rot away pretty quickly. And on the end here we have a very early Series 1, and this is what I was saying about early Series 1 headlights behind the grille. Slightly later Series 1 headlights exposed, larger 7-inch Lucas headlamps. Earlier lamps on this one. CCF125 is the registration number, presumably the original. This one in the liveries of Freeman's Plant Hire Services. It's beautifully restored. Nice bit of sign writing going on. Let's have a quick peer under here. So all the chassis has been done. So this one looks like it's probably had a nut and bolt resto. Super clean. Doesn't look like it's had a great deal of use since the restoration, which must have been pretty thorough. Lovely new canvas tilt on the back, new seating, really beautifully turned out, lovely condition. I like the colour as well. I like these light green ones, just a bit different to the regular green that you see on most older Land Rovers. But yeah, Land Rovers for all different shapes and sizes here, but that is certainly a great looking example of a fairly early Series 1 Land Rover. Quite the assortment of Solihull's finest there. Now the next car is a bit of a blast from the past for me, a Triumph Spitfire Mk3, the first car I ever pieced back together when I was sort of 15, 16, 17 was a Mk3 Triumph Spitfire. Very similar to this, in very similar condition, full project job. But you can buy most of the parts that you need for these. 1296cc originally. This one's got later wheels on it, but that would be fairly easy to remedy. There's a G registration plate in there, so that would suggest sort of 1968-ish. Is the door open? That won't force the issue. The chassis is similar to the Triumph Herald, and indeed the Vitesse just behind it. But the Spitfire doesn't have the outriggers that I was talking about. It has the central chassis members that run fore and aft in the centre of the car. But on these, the sills are structural. So the sills below the bonnet and below the doors here, that is all structural. So you always have a good prod around there. So this is a bit of a project. Obviously want stripping, going through, are all the bits with it. I'm guessing it'll say in the full auction description, but I think they're great looking little cars. I do like the early Spitfires with the smaller backlights as opposed to the one-piece light units that the Mark IV and the 1500 had. So yeah, bit of a project, but definitely one worth saving, I think anyway. Right, I definitely need to speed up a little bit. White chrome bumper MGB Roadster here. It's really warm in here today. Little Sprigget from 1966. Yep, MG midget. Again, a bit of a project. Some nice. Those are the original seats, possibly. They could be. Nice dashboard in these. If I was going to get a midget, it would be one of the earlier ones like this, with the chrome bumpers. A VW Beetle in a very lurid shade of purple. Quite an eye-catching car. Bit of fun there. I think this is a Dutton, this little car here. Yeah, it is a Dutton, there we go. On the next registration. So many more cars to see, so I will have to speed up a little bit. Moggy Minor, two-door Morris Minor, 587 DJO. Looks like it's been sat a little while, but it's got that sort of bloominess to the paint that you just know would come up looking great with a bit of TLC. Got a replica there of the Austin-Healey 3000. Pretty smart. Morris Minor Traveller here. It's been finished in satin black. So definitely not a factory finish, probably brush painted. But steel wings, I think. Yep, steel, not fiberglass. Comfy modern seats, or slightly more modern seats in there. So maybe this was a daily driver perhaps. Registration is certainly much later. You could probably get an age-related plate put on that. Maybe it went overseas and came back here in the early 1980s, and at that time DVLA would just give you a current registration as opposed to age-related, which they do now. So that may explain the X registration there. Got another midget, this one a rubber bumper, so 1500cc, slightly later than the other one we were looking at. There's the front view of the Moggy. I know someone who'd quite fancy that. I think the youthful assistant would quite fancy that as his first classic. Very usable at a Morris. Probably change the door mirror, find a nice chrome one to go on there. 587 DJO, 1958. Let's keep going down here. This, at first glance, looks like an MGTF, but I think this is a Gentry kit car inspired by and echoing the styling of the old MGTFs of the late 1950s, but a fraction of the price of an MGTF as well, I imagine. Look at this beauty here, PCD 540, a lovely little Fiat Topolino, a little 500 Topolino. So this is one of the sort of the Series 2 cars, I think that's probably what you call them. The earlier ones had separate headlights, and then they went to the headlights integrated into the front wings, like we can see there. But great cars, very characterful little cars. Whenever I see these, I always have to have a close look at them just to admire the detailing. Super little door handle, very cosy in there. Room for 4 not too large people. Very nice. What a characterful little car. You can almost put it under your arm and just carry it away. Nice being right-hand drive as well, so that makes it nice and usable. What a great little car that is. Such a lot of character. Right. S-Reg MGB Roadster, so this would have been a rubber bumper car. It's been converted to chrome bumpers at some point in time, again with the factory hardtop. All looks quite agreeable in there. Looks pretty good. Grey Mini Light Star wheels. Alfa Romeo Alfa Sud is alongside that. That is pretty neat. Nice early one. I think this would be the early one with the smaller backlights. Let's go and have a quick look. I think it is. Yep. When you look at it, you would think that was a hatchback, but no, that is a saloon. The rear window is fixed. To get in the back, you've just got this little sort of boot lid arrangement there. But yeah, pretty rare sight now, that one. Like most cars in the 70s, they did go rusty pretty quickly, and alpha suds tended to go rusty even more quickly than most, which is saying something for cars in the 1970s, but this one looks to be in really good preserved condition. Love the Alfa door mirror. Just about to see the Alfa Romeo badge on there, that's neat. Let's have a quick look inside. Very clean and tidy in there. There must be so few of these still on the road here in the UK. Obviously you'll be able to check all the paperwork situations and things with the main office here at Brightwells. Next to that we've got a Daimler V8 250, so the 2.5 litre V8 engine under that swoopy bonnet, based on the Jaguar Mark II, of course, the body, but Daimler-fied with the fluted grille and boot lid emblem. This one on painted wires, which actually look pretty nice. Actually a good looking car, not too blingy. Sometimes Jags and Daimlers can look a little bit blingy, but that one just looks subtle and really, really nice. Painted wires as opposed to chrome. Very tasty. Got another 1500cc MG midget over here, one of the rubber bumper cars. And on the end here, Mercedes-Benz SL, one of the R107 era of Mercedes-Benz SL. Does it say on the back which engine it is? I'm guessing 280 SL. It is indeed the 280 SL, right-hand drive. Very smart soft top there. Looks to be in nice condition. Auto box, 2.8, straight 6 engine on this one. A proper wafter, perfect for a day like this. Right, TR3A. So we had a look at that TR2, which is just over there next to the S3 Bentley. This is the later TR3A with a few extra mod cons, including, as I say, exterior door handles. This one right-hand drive with factory hardtop. Ooh, it's got the Triumph Sports Owners Association badge on the front. That is a particularly nice badge. It's not every day you see those on an old TR. Ford Pop 103E, a sit-up and beg Ford Pop. These were built throughout the 1950s, based on the slightly earlier E494A Anglia, but these, the 103A Pop, had the 1172cc side valve engine under the bonnet there, but basically it was a pre-war car that Ford just carried on producing. I mean, these can trace their roots back to the 1930s, but they were built all the way up to about 1959, I think. I've had a few side valve Fords myself over the years. Quite plucky little performers, never going to set the road alight, which is probably why so many of them ended up being hot rodded and ruined. Fortunately, this one hasn't suffered that fate. Painted bumpers is correct for the Ford 103E Pop, as we're looking at here. The previous Anglia did have chrome bumpers and a few extra things. If you've been following the channel for a while, you remember I had an E494A Anglia, super original grey one, which, like I say, was the forerunner of this car, but it had the slightly smaller engine in the older Anglia compared to this. This shared its engine with the E83W half-ton vans and the E493A Ford Prefect, which sold alongside these, slightly more upmarket, but not by much. It's nice to see the original matting in there. Actually, you don't see that very often in these. That often breaks up. It's got that smell of sort of old oil and Rexine in here. Original headlining too, which is still hanging on and still perfectly usable. Nice that it's got the sprung steering wheel. The later 103Es had a much plainer steering wheel, which didn't look half as nice. There's your view down the bonnet from the driver's eye perspective-ish. Yeah, fun little car to bimble around in. One area you want to have a look on these is the hinge pillar here. They often rust where the hinges bolt through there, those 3 screws there, and indeed down there, but this one actually looks good. This is where you want to be having a good look around here and along the sills and so on. No sign of rampant metal moth there, so that's good to see. Bakelite window surrounds, a door window surround there. Yeah, very nicely turned out little car. I don't like slamming doors, so I won't. Yeah, very nice little pop. Ford Escort here, Mark III 5-door hatch, A40 GDD. Here's the reg. Looks pretty original, this one. So a quick peer inside. Yeah, look at that. Wow. Showing 21,055 miles on the clock. Whether it's been round or not, I don't know, but I would guess. My hunch is probably not. The seats don't look all badly worn or anything. Still got the original carpets in there as well. So that's probably on its original mileage. We had one of these years ago as our second car, little gear it was. This is a 1.3. Cuts of Camden on the number plate. Cuts of Camden in the rear window too. And the Fiesta alongside that. Bit of hot hatch action there. The Fiesta RS Turbo. Getting a little bit later now. Like I say, this classic car sale also incorporates quite a few modern classics as well this time around. So we've got quite a few Fords along here. We all know that classic Fords are super popular. Ford Escort XR3i there. Brooklyn garages, nice little detail there. It's got an 83 tax disc in the window, the telephone dial alloy wheels. Super clean, tidy car with a spoiler on the back. So this was Ford's hot hatch answer to the likes of the Golf GTI. And before that, we have this, the rear wheel drive Ford Escort RS2000. Nice mud flaps on that. Looks to be pretty immaculate, I have to say. That is one tidy looking car. I mustn't miss these out. We've got another MGB roadster here with Motorola radio in it. Very clean, tidy car. You're always looking at the sills, the arches, the seams along here. You want to see that seam if it's been hidden. It might have been filled over, but this one all looks proper and correct. Got a recessed grille MGB GT behind that. A Series 3 Land Rover on an X registration. Ford Sierra Sapphire Cosworth. So a bit of fast Ford action here. So this is the booted Sapphire version. And of course you had the hatchback Sierra as well. There's the all important badging on the back. Lots of these cars were modded, souped up and tuned up back in the day, but I think what people tend to now, the collectors, certainly pay a premium for unmolested original cars. There aren't too many of those around. While I'm back here, let's have a look at this Ford Capri 2. It's a 3-litre gear version. I bet that goes quite well. 3-litre V6 engine. The Mark II version of the Capri introduced the full opening hatchback. The Mark I Capris, they just had an opening boot lid and the rear window stayed where it was. Auto box in this one. Super original, so 1970s in there. Wood dash, a sporty steering wheel, pretty cool. Yeah, so this is the Capri 2. Pretty rare to see a 3-litre one on an S registration. Metallic gold paint. And alongside is this, the Volvo P1800 ES. Circa about 1971-ish, I would have thought, on a K-plate. Pretty wild looking car. So this was like the shooting brake or estate version of the P1800S. Probably 2-litre by this point in time, the B20 4-cylinder engine. Proper Volvo mud flaps as well. Got a huge rear screen, opening screen there. Shut carefully. Yeah, you won't want to go slamming that. What a practical car, amazing looking car. That's one thing about the sort of cars in the 70s. There's so many interesting styles of car around, and indeed interesting colours. Look at the colour of this Volvo or the MGB GT there. the Capri over here. Talking of Capris, is this an RS 3.1? I don't profess to know a great deal about fast forwards and Capris, but this one looks like it's been modded for a bit of competition use. Got some Sparco bucket seats in there, the battery's on charge at the moment. Fire extinguisher, full cage in there I think. Lots of extra bits and gizmos and switches and dials, so yeah, this one looks like it's had a bit of competition prep. There's the cut-off there. The Essex V6 engine with lots and lots of space around it. Pretty neat. And oh, look at this, the Riley RMB, so the 2.5 litre Riley RM saloon. That's a bit of me, that is. So Riley RMs were available with the 1.5 or the 2.5 litre engine. The pale blue background on the Riley badge there tells us this has got the 2.5, the 1.5 has a darker blue background. Handsome looking car, kind of looks pre-war, but this is early 1950s, late 40s, early 1950s. Lovely inside. Dad's a big fan of these, having owned a couple of them back in the 1960s. And with a split windscreen, let's just put the camera in there. With the split windscreen, very, very nice view out. I do like a split window. The dash, lovely as well. Seats in really good condition by the look of it, possibly retrimmed. West of England cloth headlining looks also probably to have been done just a few years ago. Still looks really, really nice. But yeah, what a super car. Roof looks good as well. You always have to check the roof on these, because even though it's a saloon with a fixed roof, you've got this Rexine covering, and then there's a strange sort of metal mesh and padding and all sorts behind here. So this one looks to have been done and is still in good order. So that's good to see, that's reassuring to see. A real quality car, quite a sporting saloon of the late 40s, early 1950s. Right, where was I? More Capri action here. This injection, so 2.8i, and this is something I definitely wanted to not miss out, this incredible Thames 400e minibus. As soon as I saw this on the website, I thought I've got to come and have a look at this in the livery of Parker's Travel. It's a diesel powered one, which is not something you see all that often. Who remembers one of these in the Italian Job? Well, remember that. Great bit of sign writing going on here. Yeah, proper sign writing too. What an amazing thing. So if you've got a big family and you want to get off to classic shows, you could do a lot worse than buy one of these. Forward control Thames 400e WDJ 783. So we've got plenty of side seating in the back. Let's see if the door is open. Oh, it is. Oh, a lovely step as well. Open. Oh, wow. Look at that. Ooh, you can have fun with this. Or pile in it and head off to a show or the pub meeting or something in this. Very, very comfy way of doing it. You can be pretty sure you'll be the only people rocking up in a cool little minibus like this. Someone really has gone to town restoring this. But it cost way more than whatever it'll sell for to restore this. This is the way to buy them, to be honest. Buy one that someone else has already shelled out all the money on. Nice old fire extinguisher hanging up there. Yeah. What a great thing. What an amazing thing, these little commercial vehicles, because they are so rare. I'm sure there will be an awful lot of interest in that fantastic little Thames. So what year will that be? About 1960, 61-ish, off the top of my head. From 1966 is this diesel-powered Ford Transit Mk1 camper. Nice old sticker in the window there for BP anti-freeze. Pop-up roof. Interesting alternative maybe to a VW camper. Let's see if the back door's open. Don't like to force anything. There we we go. Wow, look at that carpet. Just perfect. Look how airy that pop-up roof makes it inside. I love the interior in this, actually. So 1970s. But yeah, surprisingly airy with that pop-up roof. I hadn't realised just what a difference it makes. That makes it super usable. Yeah, fantastic. Look at this, original trims on the inside the doors as well. I do get excited about things like that. Right, where do we go next? We've got a very unusual looking little Mini here, MAB7. Wasn't that Mercedes Coupe, MAB2 or 3? I wonder if it came from the same place, but yes, a Morris Mini Minor, so quite an early Mark 1 Mini that's been convertibilised by someone at some point in time. A bit of work to do, but interesting project nevertheless. And I bet if you're really enterprising, if you wanted to put that back to a standard saloon, I bet you could probably find a Mark 1 Mini body shell that's rotted out along the bottom, but with a decent roof. So depending on what that comes for, that could actually be put back to a saloon. But either way, bit of fun for someone there. I wonder what's in these boxes. I always wonder what's in these boxes. The old Duckham's products box there. What gems lurk within, I wonder. Can we have a look? It's clearly got lots and lots of pieces in here. And I see some BMC packaging. So there could be an interesting kit of parts with this. Let's have a quick look in here. Just window or door rubbers, that kind of thing. Yeah, I reckon you could probably find. It looks really well finished off, actually. Is this a homebrew, or is this a convertible conversion that was perhaps actually done properly by an outside company? Because at first glance I assumed it's just one that someone's cut the roof off, but the way this has been nicely finished just has me wondering if this is some sort of proper conversion. Answers on a postcard, please. Here's a very bonny little racing car that some enterprising owner and enthusiast has built up at some point in time. No engine in it at the present moment, but certainly an interesting project for someone. Now we're kind of into modern classics area here, so as I'm aware this video is going to be quite long, I'm not going to spend too long here other than to just show what's here, and if there's anything that really catches your eye, please go and check out the website, and there you will get the full information. And indeed, if you really want to find out more, get down to one of the viewing days. Got an R129 Mercedes-Benz SL there. Quite a few Mercedes and other Japanese modern classics, the SLK. Golf, I think that's an R32. Yes, it is a Golf R32. I like the German style plates on that one. The cracking colour as well. So that's based on the Mark IV era of VW Golf. Probably one of the better looking Golfs of more recent times. That's got a V5 powered one of those. Got a Subaru Impreza. Toyota MR2 Mark 1, very clean looking car, a little mid-engine car with the engine behind the seats. And then in here, Porsche 911 convertible on a non-dating reg with 911 in it. Yeah. Something for all tastes here today. Now technically this isn't a motorcycling channel, but I can hardly not have a look at some of the bikes that are here today. We've got a Biza Bantam. There's a lot of trials bikes here today. I don't profess to know a great deal about them, but I will show them here. You've got a Greaves, a nice little road bike there. Villiers engine, little Yamaha on the end in immaculate condition. What a belter that is. Apparently these are really low mileage. These two, I think they're Japanese police bikes or something like that. Supposedly very low mileage. Yeah, 3 miles showing on that one, which is pretty incredible. I'm not sure what the mileage indicated on this one is. That one is 2 miles. There's that NVT, the little Easy Rider. Norton Villiers Triumph. Oh, look at this aerial, blimey. That I do like. I love this era of bike with those big sprung saddles. Could be pre-war, could be just post-war, but that's got a great look. And as I've said before, I know someone who would like that. Big Norton alongside. Yeah, there are some more trials bikes a little bit further up at the back. Got a few little gems just tucked away over here. We've got a Mk3 Mini Cooper S on a K plate. So Mk3, so hidden door hinges, wind up windows, double gutter, which is correct for one of these. So that'll be a 1275 Cooper S. Pretty special little car. And we have a 1964 Fiat 500 here, left-hand drive, BMW Isetta next to that. A bit of bubble car action there, and very small car action over here. Very nice pale blue, very similar colour to our little Renault 4CV. Let's have a quick peer at the interior. I do like Italian and indeed French interiors, just for the little details. Even on cars that are sort of budget motoring, they just somehow have a bit of a style about them. And the same definitely applies to this great little Fiat 500, the Nuova 500. That's nice. Rear hinge doors on this one, pull handles. This incredible car here, this is a recreation, I believe, of the Fiat 500 Jolly. It's the sort of thing that you see the beautiful people in Monaco driving around in. They certainly have the weather for it, as indeed do we today. It's lovely out there. I will go outside because there are some cars outside as well. Yeah, that looks like a bit of fun with the wicker seating. Again, super simple but super stylish interiors. So let's just have a quick scoot up here and just see what else we've got. Nissan Figaro, Porsche, BMW Z3M. I do like these. I think the estimate on this is about 8 to 10, something like that. It's got the M3 engine in that, and they go really, really well. 320 something brake horsepower. One of the Ford built tractors, but with Fergie components or design elements to them. Little MGTF there. Let's just go around this way. Like I say, I'm mainly looking at the older cars, BMW Z4. But just show a little bit of everything. Like I say, if anything floats your boat, well, you know where to look for extra information. Got a little MX-5 there. Beamer, another XJS convertible. That one on an end, that's quite a late, must be one of the very last. One of the M100 series Lotus Elans, front wheel drive. Isuzu power. Serviced by Chris Folds Motors, the Lotus specialists. The R129 SL there. Jaguar XKR, so that's the supercharged V8 version of the XK8, the X100 era of Jaguar XK. Pretty tasty TVR Chimera here, pretty nice colour as well. Yeah, I like that. We see lots of TVRs at our local meets, there's a big following. On the end of this row, super clean, about 1987 or 88. Mercedes-Benz 190E, properly built car. This one's auto, but just look at the condition of the interior. Pretty much as new. It's got 77,000 showing on the clock. Yeah, really good car. If you want a modern classic daily, you could do a lot worse than one of these. 2.6 litre engine in this one. Back corner over here we have quite an assortment of classic trials, the old scramblers of different makes, different engine sizes. And like I say, I don't profess to know a great deal about them, but if you know your old bikes, then you will know more than I what you are looking at. We've got a Suzuki here. So what's that? Triumph, Rickman, Royal Enfield. Some really lovely looking stuff here, lots of project spec motorcycles. Let's see what we've got here. So what's that? The Cotton. Oh yes, I remember Cotton. Villiers engine in that one. The Triumph powered machine there. all sorts of really interesting machines. Like I said, I had a look at the catalogue last night, and there's some quite lengthy descriptions of the bikes. I've got an Excelsior there, lots and lots of trials, off-road motorcycles in this particular sale. Look at that. The SHM Aerial, that's not something I've heard of before. Some are more project spec than others. Look at that, that one looks like it's had a life. But yeah, period scrambling has quite the following. That one originally registered for road use, whether it's still registered, who knows. You can probably look that one up on DVLA and find out, but it looks like a really cool project. Certainly on Mum's side of the family, back in sort of the pre and post-war years, they were really big on off-road motorcycle trialling, scrambles, that kind of thing. They organised the International Welsh 2 days trials, and over here, next to another trials bike, is this stunning Sunbeam LAD 800. I'm not going to try and guess which model it is. I'm thinking S7, but I don't know enough to be confident on that. But if you know your old Sunbeams, then you will know what you are looking at. This one looks like it's been parked up for many a year, showing 388 miles on the clock. But obviously, with a bike of this age, you really don't know what the actual mileage is. Yeah, interesting project for somebody there. The last bit to look at is the centre row here, and that very, very clean R129 Mercedes-Benz SL. There's a rear corner of the Lotus Elan SE, the M100 MX5, with very appropriate registration number on it. But this one hides a secret, because according to the badge on the back, this is one of the rare BBR turbocharged examples. So yeah, so I bet that bobs along pretty well. Right, I think that is probably it for all the vehicles inside here. So I'm going to go and get a fresh battery. We'll see where I left my bag, change batteries, and go and have a look, because there are also a few vehicles outside which I wanted to show you in this particular video. While we go this way, we'll just have a quick wander around this Land Rover Series 3, because I didn't have a close look at that before. Yeah, looks like a very usable vehicle indeed. Right, so where did I leave my batteries? Somewhere over here, I think. And this over here with a rear light on is an Austin Champ. So this was a military vehicle dreamt up by BMC, Rolls-Royce power, steel body, pretty bonkers little thing, can go as fast in reverse as it can going forwards. Very, very unusual sight nowadays. Right, let's go and have a look outside. Well, there are some very interesting vehicles outside here, and if you like electric vehicles and are after a project, well, maybe this incredible little milk float floats your boat. Shotton Dairies Limited. There are actually 2 milk floats in the auction here today. Chloride batteries. I remember rescuing an old milk float very similar to this quite a few years ago from a museum that was having a bit of a clear out of its stores, and they wanted to get rid of this old milk float, so friends and I decided to rescue it and give it a temporary home. A new home was found for it. Whether it's still around or not, I don't know. That was a co-op milk float, but yeah, pretty neat. Would make a good mobile shop perhaps. Tucked away over the side of the car park is the other one. What a great little thing. If this has still got its batteries in, it will weigh quite a lot. The one we rescued many years ago was quite the lump on a trailer. It was very, very heavy. I'd be surprised if this still has its batteries in it, because you can weigh those in for quite a bit. Yeah. Bit of fun. Look nice in the corner of the garden perhaps, with a few potted plants on it. So many options. Pretty sure this and the other one are no reserve, so you can bag yourself a bit of a bargain, but I wouldn't bet on driving it home. I'm not quite sure what the story is with this Vauxhall Nova, but the Rover alongside now, this Rover 75, I think it's about 1955. This has actually featured on the channel before. Last year I went out for the day with Dad to mid-Wales, and I did a video of just compiling some of the clips together of things we saw. And while walking around a certain town in mid-Wales, I went down off the main high street and ambled down this side road, and in the distance I spotted the glint of a chrome bumper in a driveway outside a magnificent looking house, and this Rover was sat there looking like it had been there for a very, very long time indeed. Apparently this has been in the same family's ownership from new, so 70 years in the same family's ownership. Clearly not been on the road for quite a long time, but it was pretty funny. As soon as I saw this I thought, that's got to be the same one, surely. Knighton Historic Vehicle Club, so whoever the owner was clearly quite enthusiastic. I do quite like these old P4s, carefully, but I wasn't expecting to see it again. I couldn't get close to it when I saw it on the driveway. It was quite a long drive, so I had to zoom in. It smells a bit barn-findy in here, but you know, it could live again. And here is actually a photo of the car when it was still on the road. So I'm not sure how old that photo is. I'm just trying to see the tax disc. It's got a blue tax disc, probably mid-2000s I would guess, something like that. So it was on the road back then, FO8441, but clearly been sat for quite some time now. It's faded off the paint, it's looking pretty tired. Could it be oily ragged? The door's still shut well. And the paint is looking pretty scratty, but you know, you have to check under the back of these because the rear ends can get a bit weak. But you know, actually there's no big build up of mud behind there, because these often rocked out round here. So while I'm not saying it's perfect by any stretch of the imagination, aluminium skin doors on these as well, this could actually have the makings of a nice car if it came. It's not going to sell for huge money. I think we can be fairly confident on that. I'm pretty sure it's a no reserve entry. So you know, what's that going to sell for? Mid to late hundreds. It's not going to pull in big money, but it'd be nice to think that someone would rescue it, because beneath the slightly scratty paint it actually doesn't look too bad. I mean, these were made of proper metal, and it'd be nice to think that this could go again. It'd be really nice to know what happens to this. So again, if you decide to have a little cheeky bid on this Rover P4, perhaps with a view to restoring it, please let me know how you get on and what you find once you get it back home. Right, so while I'm here, let's have a look around and see what else there is. I'm assuming most of what we see here in the parking area will either be in this auction or maybe a later auction. I remember seeing this covered car trailer is entered in this weekend's auction. If you're after one of those, there's one to have a look at. A VW camper. Like I say, if you have a shufty at the auction catalogue, that'll soon tell you which cars here outside are indeed in the next sale and which maybe aren't as yet. This XK8 is, the estimate on this is £1,000 to £1,500, mainly because there are a few cosmetic issuettes to deal with and a little bit of the tin worm. But if you are handy with the welder, obviously I don't know what the mechanical condition is on this car, but just going off what I see, if you're handy with a welder and you can do a bit of MIG welding, a bit of fabrication, this might come quite cheap and could possibly tidy up quite well. But yeah, there's a little bit of tin worm to deal with, so it'd have to be cheap. on the P registration. So this is probably 4-litre V8, slightly bigger version of the engine in our XJ8 back at home. Very similar J-gate transmission. It's a bit of a billy bargain these at the moment, you know. So as long as it came, not going to slam it. As long as it came for the right kind of money. Maybe there's a project to do there. Nissan 300 ZX or ZX. What's this, a Camaro, I think? Yeah, Chevrolet Camaro. Maybe that would be more your cup of tea instead of the XK, or indeed the Nissan over there, a Jeep. A few more Land Rovers over here. Like I said, I'm not sure if these are actually entered into the next auction, but I'm out here anyway, and I'm sure they will be going on sale at some point, because otherwise they wouldn't be here. So if anything leaps out, just give the good people in the office a tinkle and they will tell you more. Really groovy looking county spec TDI Defender there. Big Merc S-Class, the S320. Another CLS. Another 190E. Jaguar S-Type. I think this has got the diesel engine in it. I'm pretty sure this is a diesel S-Type. 2.7 litre Audi wagon alongside. This is a Nissan Primera. I think it probably is. Memories of watching those taking part in the BTCC, the British Touring Car Championship, some years ago now. Toyota here, and on the end, Nissan Figaro, the retro-styled K-car based on Nissan Micra engineering. So folks, there we go. That is my walk-around preview of the cars entered into the very, very imminent Brightwells Classic Car Auction. Like I say, today it is Tuesday. The auction opens, it's online bidding. The auction opens on Saturday morning, this coming Saturday, which is the 21st, I think, and runs until Wednesday, the 25th of June. The exact timings are all on the website. Details of how to bid, when the viewing days are, all on there. So thank you so much for watching this video. It's been a real treat to have a look at all the classic, and indeed some of the modern classic cars that are here today. Quite the variety of cars, but the highlight definitely for me was seeing so many wonderful, wonderful pre-war cars. Austin 7s of many different shapes and sizes, including this lovely little chummy, the box saloon Ruby, and indeed this stunning Singer 9 Le Mans, this incredible Nash, the lovely little Riley 9 Monaco, the lovely 20 horse rather Rolls-Royce Tourer, the Austin 20 coachwork by Mulliner, the Austin 12.4 Burnham Saloon, and this incredible Vauxhall on the end here. An honourable mention to these three incredible American cars over here. The Packard, the Cadillac limousine, and this spectacular Chrysler Windsor limo from 1950. If you like this kind of thing, please leave a comment in the video. Let me know your thoughts. Which car would I like to offer a home to most? Well, I do love that Chrysler. I think that is fantastic. But being moderately sensible for once, I will actually have to pick two. It'd be this Austin here, and well, make that three. The lovely little Riley, because the more I look at that, especially the wonderfully original interior, the more that really appeals. But I can't help thinking there's also going to be a bit of a billy bargain with this incredible late 1920s Nash. So thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of thing, and there'll be loads more videos along very, very soon. So, bye for now.